Welcome to Elevating La Cultura podcast, a space where I talk with Latinas who are passionate about what they do and are willing to share their passion with others to change the narrative, especially for the next generation. Each season is centered around different topics, but all with the Latina perspective. This is season 4, focused on artists and creators. So vámonos, and let's get into it. Today I have my last guest of season 4, and as soon as we recorded our interview, I knew that I wanted to have her episode be the one to close us out. Today I'm talking with Mari from LatinxMktg. I was a super fan from the time I came across her page on Instagram, and since then she's become a friend, and I've gotten to know how amazing Mari is in real life. So please enjoy our conversation. Hello, joining me all the way from the West Coast. I'm so excited to have Mari on the podcast. We have known each other for over a year. We met on Instagram, and I'm so excited for us to just chat about social media in general. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I'm Mari, and I'm an Instagram and TikTok strategist for Latinx and BIPOC entrepreneurs. And I founded LatinxMktg in order to help bridge the gap between Latinx entrepreneurs and really understanding marketing in the social space.
I think this conversation is so needed because the new generation is so into social media and technology, and I think it's great for like me as a millennial who have grew up the beginning part of our years without the internet, and then we are like now as we build businesses really having to pour into creating. Like I feel like if you're an entrepreneur, you are automatically having to be a content creator. But because we're still like in this middle ground, we don't know all the things. And I am so excited that we got to work together because I learned so much from you in the time that you were coaching me. And I'm excited to like really get into it for my listeners. And especially like I think talking about social media in general like is going to be beneficial for us who are trying to help along the next generation, or like trying to find balance for our kids when it comes to technology, screen time, social media, all the things. So I would love to know like what really got you headed into this content creator social media direction.
Yeah, so I graduated with a bachelor's in marketing, and pretty much I fell in love with the idea or the industry because I love how balanced it is with creativity, and it can also be analytical. I that's my strength, is that not only am I creative, but I also have like the love for math and the science, the data science behind it all. Um, and so that's why when the pandemic hit, I actually was in a really bad place and with my employer, and I decided to quit. And I had no idea what I was going to do. I actually had just got into this idea of manifesting and really connecting with the universe and trying to bring that sort of energy towards me. And my how it all started was I was manifesting to work at this position near my house. Specifically, it was for Savage X Fenty, and it was a marketing coordinator position. Unfortunately, I did not get the job regardless of how much that recruiter wanted me. I felt so bad because she was pushing me for almost 3 different positions, and she was like, I don't understand what's going on. And I was like, well, the universe doesn't want me here. It's going to be fine. But ironically, I continued on, and I remember it so clearly. I was unemployed and I was scrolling on TikTok and at like 2, 3 in the morning. And I just kept seeing, I was so driven to learn and be in this corporate world that my whole entire feed for you page was marketing tips, social media tips, and all of these things. And I was like, I literally know all of this. Like, this is starting to get frustrating. But the one thing I didn't see in my For You page was any sort of Latina leading a social media agency. And all I saw were white Americans talking about social media and leading their agencies. But I think this was mid-pandemic, so around June, July, I saw so many entrepreneurs, Latinx and BIPOC entrepreneurs, just growing and starting to embark on this entrepreneurship journey that I wanted to help them. I wanted to guide each and every one of these businesses, because not only did they have this dream, but I knew how easily it was going to be to give up on this dream, just because social media and these platforms didn't respond to the content that they were posting. And it wasn't that they were posting the wrong content, it was just that they didn't know how to communicate. They didn't know how to market themselves. And with my background and with my passion for learning, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna fulfill this void. I created a logo in a matter of an hour on Canva, and at 3 in the morning, I posted and I was like, I'm starting a business. Have a nice day. And I was like, I remember people were like, what is happening? The next morning, and I even was like, what did I just do? What did I just sign up for? Um, but again, I was going with the flow and I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it. Um, and then after, it took me a while to actually get the ball rolling. I think it was a mixture of fear, not knowing what to do next, because I was so passionate about getting this job at Savage X Fenty that it didn't work out, that I didn't know what else to do. And then after that, I recognized that these people that I saw constantly posting, they were just pushing themselves out of their comfort zone, and that's pretty much how I started. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to do this. And as someone that is kind of an introverted extrovert, I was leaning more towards my introverted self at that time period. So it was very hard. But I knew that in order for me to grow, I had to push myself out of my comfort zone. And so by around October, I had a few clients where I was working in um, all types of marketing. So it wasn't just social media. It was email marketing, web design. I was an intern for a small business at one point. And really, what happened was I was like, nothing is working. And I had this idea in the back of my mind, but I was so scared of it. And it was to bring the community together on an Instagram live, because I knew that was what the pandemic was leading so much growth for so many people, are these lives. But I was terrified because I was such an introvert at the time and I didn't have the confidence to do it. So what I did at the when I so going back to around 2019, I had just found out that a Latina could be an entrepreneur. It was honestly, I was shocked because I grew up at this mindset that I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I never saw the example. It was always like you look up to these white women and they're great, but they didn't look like me. They didn't have my experiences. They had this network that I didn't. I'm first gen. And so in 2019, I actually found out about Hija de tu Madre with Patty Delgado. And I was shocked. I found out about her, Shop Latinx with Brittany Chavez, Jaleesa Prado with Rizzo's Curls. And I was like, I want to be them. This is the goal. So again, when I was thinking about all these lives and what to do, I feel like I just needed someone to justify my idea. And Patty Delgado was answering questions on this. It wasn't a live, but it was a story on someone else's account, and I went ahead and asked, and I was like, "Is this a good idea?" And she was like, "Yeah, that's pretty much how we did it." And that's when I was able to pull in the small amount of people that I had built relationships with online. Because again, after I found out that the entrepreneurs can be Latinas, I was determined to put myself in this space and surround myself with badass Latinas everywhere. And so I would literally be the person that would comment on everyone's post. I would cheer them on, and people would be like, "Who is this weird girl that I don't know, but she's hyping me up and I'm here for it?" But at the same time, who is she? And so I just kept building that relationship with these people and just talking with them eventually. And I would say that we would become internet friends at this point. And when I had this live idea, I was like, okay, I'm going to be I'm going to use that network, and I'm just going to ask them, like, I'm going to say, hey, I have this great idea and I really want to feature like Latina small business owners or just people that know something that I don't. And at that time, that's when I was like, okay, I'm terrified and that's going to be okay. And I feel like if I didn't do it the way I had scheduled, I wouldn't be the same content creator that I am today, because I had scheduled 30 lives in the month of December, Monday through Friday, from December 1st to the 30th. We obviously skipped Christmas, and but I was just like so determined that I didn't even I was like, I must make myself uncomfortable. I can't do this once a month, because if I do it once a month, then I'm going to not get enough practice and I need to get the ball rolling. And so that month was when I first launched the series. I remember the first time that I spoke, the first episode, it was just me. And I remember I blacked out. I have no idea what I said. I have no idea what happened. I was just there talking. And all of a sudden I was like, okay, goodbye. And then I was like, did that really just happen? Did words come out of my mouth? I have no idea what just happened. But if you want, go watch the replay and see if it was like a disaster or not. Um, to this day, I still have that piece of content on my Instagram because it makes me laugh on how scared I was to embark on this journey. And really, it was so it's such a small thing that could have really just no, if I hadn't done it that way, I like I said, I wouldn't be the same content creator, because I wouldn't have the confidence, I wouldn't have the interview skills that I developed through that. I wouldn't be able to have the network, the connections that I've developed from those, because after that first series, I actually um developed it to be, I think we went up to 6 months of the same series where I'd go two lives a week and talk to small business owners or people um in the space that just knew things that I wanted to learn about and I knew would be valuable to other people, similar to how you do your podcast, Karina, where you share and spotlight other people. I wanted to do the same. As an introverted extrovert, unfortunately, I did burn out, and that's why I haven't brought it back. But I do want to bring that back eventually, and I feel like that's really what changed the direction of becoming a content creator. Is I pushed myself out of my comfort zone purposefully, even though I was terrified, even though I was scared, and I put it out into the universe, because once you say it out loud and people hear what you're going to say, people are always going to be accountable to you. That's why they say if you're going to go on a diet, tell everybody, because they're going to be like, "Aren't you on a diet?" And then you feel bad about it. So, those are the things that I feel like have led me to my success when it comes to becoming a content creator.
Let's take a quick break because I'm so excited to announce it's finally happening. Join me on a guided trip to Mexico City this June as we learn about Mexican history, traditional cooking, and immerse ourselves in experiences that will cultivate thoughtful conversation about ourselves and our ancestral legacies. This is the time to pour into yourself and enjoy a meaningful and curated trip where I take care of everything in Mexico and all you have to do is enjoy. To get all the details and apply, visit garinamora.com. Now back to our guest. I love that you just did it. Like when you said that you just put your logo out there and just was like, I have a business now. I think that is the scariest part, like just putting it out there. Um, I think I started following you around, if not end of 2020, beginning of 2021, because we worked together through 2021. And I remember when you would have guests and do these lives, and I was just so fascinated. I would tune in and I would think like, how is she getting so many people to like chat with? I think as I plan the podcast, like it takes so much planning to get the guests, to make sure they know what to do, like everything. And so I had that knowledge. And when you pushed me to do lives with guests, I was like, oh, that'll be simple. Like they just have to click record and go live and it'll be good. And it was trickier to get people to do Instagram live. I think because well, schedules, but also I think people are so apprehensive to show their face live, like especially on Instagram, because it started out as just a photo based social media platform and it was easy. Like you just post a photo and that was it. But now with like video creating, it's you are showing more of yourself. You're having to be vulnerable and it's live and you don't have like that capacity to edit. So whether you're doing like whether you're hosting a live or being a guest, like how do you get past like those nervous feelings or insecurities, and especially if you're a guest, like how do you get past like that initial like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be showing my face and what if I sound like messed up? Like how do you help people through that hurdle?
Honestly, I would share my story. I feel like I would share my story with them, and people had followed me throughout my journey as I was getting comfortable with lives, where they were like, at the beginning, I'm pretty sure people were like, "What in the hell is this?" Like, I haven't gone back to rewatch it, but I'm pretty sure it was like probably like my worst speaking engagement. But honestly, it's practice. Like that's all that it is to it, and it's practice with being uncomfortable. And for me, one of the things before I went on live was, I think it was beginning of the pandemic. TikTok was starting to blow up. Instagram had just released Reels, and I remember when Vine was existing and I was so entertained with it. Now that I look at like my astrological chart, I have Leo rising, which love like we love attention and we love to be like the star, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense why like I want to be this content creator at the end of the day. And I think what happened was, when the pandemic started, I saw it as an opportunity to have fun. And what I wanted was I saw all these people starting to develop the businesses like I had mentioned earlier. And I was like, in order for me to have a business, I need to get good at this. I need to get good at becoming vulnerable, at practicing and being in front of a camera. So I actually bought a book. It was, I have it somewhere in my office here, but it's called A Thousand Questions About Me. And what I did was I started a series on my personal page, and I would say, I don't remember my intro, but it was like, um, here's question like number 454, and here's my answer. And I would just like put my energy into it, and people thought it was hilarious. And I was like, I'm not trying to be funny, but I'm glad this is funny to you. Um, and pretty much that's how I started like testing the waters, and I was trying to get comfortable. And even this was even before the idea of starting a business was in my head, but it was s- getting the ball rolling and really trying to practice that. And I feel like that's really what you have to do is practice in any sort of situation, whether if you're just starting a business, whether you're just starting to become a content creator, you've got to practice and be uncomfortable. And it's so scary. And I feel like it takes a huge mindset shift that at the end of the day, this scary thing is going to lead you to much more growth and lead you to towards the direction that you're going to want to be at. Because if you let fear guide you, then you're never going to accomplish anything that you've set your mind to, and you're never going to accomplish the bucket list because or whatever it is that you've always dreamed of doing, because at the end of the day life ends, unfortunately, and you've got to take every single minute of your life and every day of your life, and you have to be grateful for it and use it for the most use it to its highest potential and take advantage of the day that's given to you, because every single day that you choose to let fear conquer you is another day that you're not going to do it. And at the end of the day, you're going to hit your a peak age where you can't do the bucket list anymore. And it is what it is. And it will probably be one of your biggest regrets. So why let fear drive you instead of you driving fear away?
That's so good. I feel like I already have like my sound bite video clip for this episode. I was like, yes, I agree with everything you just said. And I think that's why I I mean, recording a podcast is a lot of work. Being on social media is a lot of work. But like you said, like I don't want to have those regrets when I get older. And especially because I have kids looking up to me. If I'm not willing to go after something that I'm passionate about, a dream, whether that's building a business or um, furthering my career, putting myself out there, then what does that show them? I am curious at like what your parents think of you pursuing a creative career and then like for it to be social media. I know that like it's it's a new thing that wasn't even a thing when our parents were like building their career or working. So, how do you like navigate the different generations and the different mindset when it comes to being on your phone or being in front of the uh, computer all day?
So, one thing that I'm super grateful for are my parents. And the reason why is because they have always encouraged me to do whatever the hell I want. And whether it is going to travel randomly, whether it is to go to college far, they've never had this like close mindset. And I think it's because they grew up in the generation before them that was super closed-minded, and they were the ones that escaped from their families where they were like, "Okay, well, I'm going to the US to develop my entire life, and you can't control me anymore." And I think that's like the amazing part that I've been blessed with. It's definitely a huge privilege because I know the traumas that come with being controlled, and that's one thing that I'm grateful for, but I do sense that sometimes there was a fear in my parents, but ironically, I think my my dad was the one person that always told me that I needed to work for myself, that I would never become rich if I would work for someone else. And pretty much he was always the one that encouraged that. Oh my God. And because of that, I feel like I've been able to do this so gracefully without having that huge pressure to become a success or become like a breadwinner for my whole entire family. It's more like it's a completely different mindset that I'm so blessed to be encouraged by, because at the end of the day, he has taught me that I deserve everything that I want, and that I deserve the world, and the world is going to conspire to help me. As long as I am helping others, and it's so funny because every single morning he says, Wake up, like, who are you gonna help today? Go help all of your clients and like go do things to help people." And I feel like that's such a huge blessing that I have, and at the end of the day, like, that's why I'm able to do this, because I don't have the pressure to say like, "Oh, Mari has to go work a 9 to 5 job, like I paid for her college and she has to go do the corporate life." It's never been that way. It's been, okay, how I'm giving Mari this education so that she can become her own boss, so that she can be given these opportunities to create generational wealth. So I feel like they were the ones that opened the doors to creating generational wealth, and I'm lucky to be the second one in charge to actually say, okay, like I have these freedoms to explore and really understand what it is that I'm here on this planet to serve and to provide to the world, because it's not sitting behind a desk um, working for someone else as a robot. It's for me to help other Latinx and BIPOC entrepreneurs to soar and to really get recognized through marketing, through social media. And at the end of the day, like, my parents have I remember when I first quit, my mom was more in panic. I feel like my mom's the worrier in the family, and my dad was like, "Okay, like that's cool." And then they never really pressured me to do anything after that. They were like, "Okay, you're going to figure it out. Like you'll do it." And um when I finally put it out into the world that I was going to open this business, my parents like, "Okay, cool, like how can we help you?" How, like, my dad had an LLC prior to what he currently does, and he was like, "How can I help you get your LLC? Like, how can do you need any funds for this and funds for that?" And it was so much support came from that, and I'm forever grateful for it at the end of the day. Because without that, like, I know so many people that struggle to even figure this out, and I feel like I may not have had like the help when I went to college and I was trying to follow this white America career, but when it came to the hustle, like my parents were there. They knew. They were like, "I know how to do this and I'm going to help you because I've been hustling since I arrived here in the US, and I'm going to guide you." Um and so I feel like it hasn't been a huge barrier for me. Like I said, sometimes my mom worries every now and then. Um, she's like, "Well, at the end of the day, you can always go back to a 9 to 5. But my dad is the complete opposite. He's just like, if there is a um rough point, you can say, in your business, it's not because of things that you're doing, it's because the universe is trying to get you to do something, and it's trying to get you to recognize, to move towards something else, and or take a break. Because I feel like one thing that happened to me in the past year was I didn't recognize the slowdown that's going to happen during Christmas. And as a service provider, I realized that for product, that's like the time to sell as much as possible. But for a service provider, it's the complete opposite. And I think I wasn't mentally prepared for that, but at the same time, I had put so much into my business from about January to October that I was burnt out. And I think that because of the way that the things happened, like I was able to take a break and recognize that, like, I chose to this business life because I wanted to enjoy the freedoms that it gives me, not because I wanted to form it into a 9 to 5. Um, or more like a 9 to 12 p.m., 12 a.m., I mean. But yeah, so I think that things will always happen in its rightful time, and everything that happens for a reason, even if it seems like a downfall. And you just have to but trust that whatever it is that you're trying to do, it is because the universe is going to come together and conspire and help you to do it, even if it is something that just seems impossible. And I've seen it time and time again, every single time, and it's crazy to me. I will never understand how to explain it, but it's just wild.
Yeah, I think this is a really good encouragement for anybody who is has influence over the youth. So whether you have kids or you're an educator or you're a mentor, like the big thing that I heard from your story is that you really valued the support from your parents. And that was like the foundation of everything that you started doing. And I'm so glad that I have like your perspective because I always talk about like I want to change things for my kids. I want to do things differently. Like let's change the pressures that we put on our kids to do something that we have in our minds. And I'm just so thankful to have your example of what can happen when that is done. So thank you for sharing that part of your story. I think it's amazing for us to hear that perspective.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I have so many people that like don't have that support and don't have that. And I know that it's a huge privilege, but I'm just so grateful. And I feel like the way you're trying to say, like, you're trying to be that for your kids, and it's totally possible um to do that. And it's crazy to me that my parents came from technically like I think it's considered Gen X generation. Um, and they were the ones that went through the real, what I like to say, the super trauma that is very like traumatic, and they've been able to do that. So for those of you that have gone through so much trauma, at the end of the day, if you set your mind that you're going to be that guiding light for your kids, you are going to do that. You're not going to, no one is perfect in this life, but at the end of the day, you're still going to be that mentor and that support that your kids need, as long as you have decided to be that guiding light.
Hmm. Yes. You mentioned that you went through burnout. Is there anything that you learned during that time? Because I think because we live in a society now that is like everything is coming at us. We are bombarded with images, videos, where we have entertainment at our fingertips like whenever we want it. And so I think that burnout can come quicker than it did like 10 years ago or 20 years ago, just because our minds are so stimulated. Is there something that as a creator you learned how to navigate so that you either like prepare for burnout, you kind of like know it's coming, and like what can we do as creators to not let it like affect our business too much, since like we still have this pressure to create and put stuff out there? um is there such thing as like a balance, or I don't know. I think I've gone through it too and still don't know what to do when I feel like so burdened, burnt out. Yeah.
I think we have to think bigger picture when it comes to burnout. One thing that I've realized is that burnout comes because we are self inflicting pressure on ourselves. There's literally no one else putting pressure except for ourselves. And recognizing that and kind of stepping outside of yourself and saying, like, okay, am I okay? Like, am I functioning or am I just surviving at this point? Because there comes a point where you are so tired, you don't want to do anything, nothing motivates you. It kind of feels like a small depression where you don't want to get out of bed, you don't want to do anything. You kind of just want you're like, ugh, I have to show up on stories again, or oh, I have to make another piece of content, or why did I sign up for this live? Like, why do I have to do all these things? And that's like your first sign that you're dreading what you have set or have embarked on to love. And what I noticed is that it's okay to hate the things that you love at one point, especially if you have, like, as we've been talking about, burnt out. But you have to set time to reset and enjoy life. I feel like that's the one reminder that we have to have as entrepreneurs and as side hustlers, or just people that are on the hustle and the grind, is that we want to enjoy life. Why are we hustling? Because we want to enjoy life. Why are we waking up at the crack of dawn or waking or going to sleep at 1 in the morning? Because we're trying to enjoy life. We're trying to make the generational wealth. We're trying to change the generations ahead of us. We're trying to improve our kids. We're trying to get healthier. We're trying to do all these things, but it's all for the purpose of enjoying life. And as I mentioned earlier, it's like life will fly regardless if you don't enjoy life or you do. If you're on the hustle or you're not. It's actually one of the reasons that I've just started a mini series on Fridays where I go outside. I've called it Mari Goes Outside, on to inspire entrepreneurs to literally enjoy life. Because if you don't, it's just going to disappear, and all that hustle, all that grind is going to be not worth for anything. And you might as well just take some time off and enjoy the people that are surrounding you. Enjoy your pets, enjoy your kids, enjoy your spouse, enjoy nature, enjoy the sun, the smallest things in this world are the ones that make the biggest difference, the biggest impact in your spirit and your energy. And it's going to change the way you look at life and everything that it has to offer.
So I know that you recently went back to school and you're getting your master's. I'd love to hear more about like your decision to do that, what you're studying, and how you can manage to go to school and run your business so well.
So I went back to school. I'm actually going to Cal State Long Beach, where I'm studying marketing analytics. And I decided to go back because I knew that there was something that I lacked, and I was right, which is really understanding how marketing plays a role within corporations. And I didn't want to sacrifice my freedoms of being an entrepreneur by going back to a 9 to 5 just to find that out. So I thought, okay, a master's degree, I have like the core basis of marketing, but I don't know how it plays a role in the sense of um, like in marketing terms, like positioning, segmentation, targeting, and just kind of seeing how exactly it meshes and how market research is done in order to apply these tactics to ads and to verbiage and just marketing efforts in general. And that's kind of what my big question was trying to figure out how all of it tied together. And that's why I decided to go back to school instead of going back to a 9 to 5. It is a 1 year program, so I'm going to be graduating May 17th, actually, but I'm going to still have my capstone project in the summer. So technically, I don't finish till August, but yeah, that's super exciting. As far as managing it all, honestly, you can say that I am the worst type of student in the sense that I don't care about grades. I really don't. I do just on that note, I know that we have to maintain a 3.0 average or higher in order to stay in the program, so it's not like I'm completely failing, but I am not going to put myself pressure to get the 4.0 or the A plus or A in everything, because I truly believe that one, grades don't matter. Literally, no one will ever ask you about them once you finish. Second of all, it's all about the knowledge that you gain. And yes, technically, tests and stuff are an evaluation of what you've learned, but as long as you're never going to finish learning. So obviously if you don't get certain concepts at one point, then that's fine. You'll learn them down the road when you're applying them. And in my opinion, I think that that's kind of what makes me a little bit more balanced, where I know my stuff. I've been studying marketing since I was 18 years old, and it's been it's going to be soon almost 10 years. And literally it's the same thing but just in more in depth. So if you have the core of knowing what it is that you're doing, then it's not that hard when it comes to recognizing the new strategies that you're learning and the new data analytics that you're learning. It just is like putting more pieces to the puzzle that is almost complete. So that's why I don't find it as stressful. And it is a night school, so I do go to school. Currently, I'm going Tuesdays and Wednesdays with an online class on Thursdays. So it's kind of like I finish everything over the weekend when it comes to homework, and then I go back to work Monday to Friday. So I personally think that if you go back to school, and highly recommend, don't put pressure on yourself to be the perfectionist, because at the end of the day, you're there for the knowledge, not for the grades. So that's my mindset on it.
I think that is a mindset that I wish I had years ago. Um, and I hope that the mindset keeps shifting because it was until I started homeschooling my kids that I started to realize that grades don't matter. Like it matters like what you actually retain and how you apply what you learn. So thank you for reminding me. And then if this is the first time the listeners are hearing this, maybe this is a new concept that you can start to embrace. Um, with that said, is there any other piece of advice that you would give to the next generation as it pertains to maybe life in general, or it could be as specific to social media?
Yeah, I know that you have a lot of moms and older generation listeners, so I want to start there, where I feel like the first thing that I would advise is to one, trust your kids because you've raised them to know what the hell they're doing. You've literally guided them for the past 18 years. Therefore, even if you don't understand what they're doing, trust that they're doing it with the knowledge that it's safe for them, that they're going down the right path that they want to do. Um, Especially when it comes to new jobs like myself, where my parents are like, she does something on the Instagram and and it's fine. So it's just like being open-minded and listening to what they have to say isn't also the biggest thing. Because even if you don't understand, as long as you're listening, active listening, they will appreciate you for that. It's the thought and the intent that counts at the end of the day, in my opinion. As far as for people that are starting a business or on the grind currently, I would say imposter syndrome is something that everybody is going through. You're not the only one. I go through it. I'm sure that even influencers of the biggest numbers go through it. There is always going to be someone that is better at whatever or has better numbers or does things better than you. But at the end of the day, you have a the perspective that no one else has. So feel confident that you are providing something or product or service for someone that needs your assistance, your expertise, and you're the only person that's going to give it to them. As far as Gen Z, I would say I would say that being on the grind all the time is not going to be your end all be all solution. I feel like a lot of Generation Z are very driven and just like trying to prove millennials wrong in everything that they do. um, but with that being said, that's taking on so much pressure and so much like, and again, it's back to that self inflicting pressure. So I think at the end of the day, like, remind yourself to take breaks, take that day off, go walk your dog, do those many things that don't seem important and just exist, be present, and enjoy the moment that you're currently in.
Awesome. Well, I started working with you and I met you when you were only focusing on Instagram, and you helped me so much. And you recently started doing TikTok as well. So, where can people find you and what are you offering as far as services now?
Yeah, so I started doing TikTok because I realized that TikTok and Instagram work really well hand in hand when it comes to brand awareness and then creating a relationship. And so, because of that, I am currently taking on two social media management clients where I manage either your TikTok and or your Instagram or both. And that's one offer that I currently have. I am still onboarding Colectiva members where I plan out your content for either TikTok or Instagram. And then lastly, I have my latest offer, which is the Jefas Juntas membership, where you join for $47 a month and receive multiple, um, pretty much like you receive one monthly training, pre-recorded. You receive a Q&A session with me. You receive co-working hours. You receive weekly trends so you don't have to hunt them down. You receive a multitude of things, and not only that, but community and network that is on the same journey as you are. So yeah, those are my three offers currently.
Awesome. And where can people find that?
Yeah, so you can go check it out at LatinxMktg.com. It's Latinx with MKTG. Or you can find me on Instagram or TikTok under LatinxMktg as well.
Awesome. I hope everyone goes and follows, soaks up all of your content, and maybe works with you. I think my time with you was amazing. I had you as not only helping me understand social media, but as a support, and like you gave me real feedback. Like you were like, nah, this doesn't sound right. Change this, do this. And I just appreciated that so much. It really helped me shift my mind when it comes to marketing what I do. So everyone go follow her. And I'm so thankful for your time. Thank you so much for all of your words of encouragement, your wisdom, and thank you for just sharing your story. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Karina, for spotlighting it.
Yeah. All right. We'll touch base soon. Bye.
Bye.
Oh my goodness. After that conversation, I think we all want Mari's parents to be our parents too. But really, her story and how her parents have been so supportive inspires me to be that for my kids. So go follow Latinx Marketing because she puts out great content. Okay, amigos, thank you so much for listening. There'll be one more episode this season as I close out season 4 before we take a little break. And next week, I'll also be giving you a teaser on the topic for season 5. So, after you listen to this episode, feel free to take a screenshot to post on Instagram and tag at Elevating La Cultura or send me a DM. You can also comment on this YouTube video if you're watching online. I always like to hear from people and how they resonate with the stories that I share. So, leave a review on Apple Podcasts so we can get more ears listening to these stories and we can continue elevating La Cultura. All right, enjoy the rest of your day, afternoon, evening, whenever you're listening, y nos vemos next week. Bye!